So, Sonic World. I finally checked out the bosses in this game. They're not as bad as I expected them to be. A lot of the Eggman head missions are actually just missions to destroy all the enemies, or all the enemies randomly decided to be gold. And they're really kind because if you go through the entire stage, the gold ring warps you to the beginning and you can actually kill more enemies to add to the counter. So you don't have to climb through the entire stage all over again, devoid of enemies, looking for the few enemies you missed like in Heroes. You can just cheat and do the stage multiple times, beating any enemy you feel like, while still going fast. The only punishment for just going fast anyways would be, I guess, having to play the level more times than you'd have to. When the Eggman icon has a clock near it, that means beat the boss or enemies under a time limit. And occasionally the time limit can be bullshit, but most of the time I never had a problem with it. It sucks how they made the boss icon look the same as the beat all the enemies one. I mean, how am I supposed to look at a picture of Eggman's face and assume it means beat all the enemies and Eggman never shows up? They should have made the boss levels in particular have red icons. Like, every time. But yeah, they waste what could be cool levels on bosses and moof rushes, which especially sucks for places like Grand Metropolis where they could have been actual levels. Metal Sonic, or I guess Metal Sonic 3.0, I'm not sure, is the fight for Stardust Speedway. I swear it didn't have this lagging when I wasn't recording. I couldn't beat it for the recording because of that. Anyways, it's a running boss, he hits the floor a lot. The problem is that it has this stupid red energy ball attack that always manages to hit you over and over again when you're trying to catch up to him, so that kinda makes you vulnerable, which is cheap. And of course he uses a force field. I say of course because this is common for the bosses, so you have to constantly play the waiting game. Spam projectiles if you want to avoid a headache. Don't even bother with the homing attack. In fact, don't ever bother with it when attacking a boss at the size of your character. The game won't like it. For the most part, it's just the same boss every time. Eggman has the Eggmobile. He'll go through different phases shooting energy balls at you and then progress to have a ball and chain surrounding himself. Not that it'll make it harder for you to homing attack him. And then he shoots energy balls in ways that are hard to avoid when you're trying to stay close to him and wait for him to be low enough to attack even with projectiles. He'll always have this force field you have to avoid attacking, so it's just a waiting game where you wait until the right time to attack, and the force field hurts you if you attack it, which is kinda dickish. I was really surprised that they had the boss change to Eggman Mega if you play as Egg Robo. That's pretty cool. They didn't have to do that. The worst part about this boss fight is the camera. You won't be able to even see the boss if you're too close to it, meaning you won't know when to attack, so you have to keep your distance. And it really sucks when the camera starts spinning around, disorienting you, because again, you're too close to the boss. It's boring, you just wait around, but it's beatable. Sometimes they have Sonic Advance 2 bosses in 3D, which is exactly what it sounds like. You spend most of the boss feeling like you're pushing through molasses because you're trying to catch up with the boss, doing all the drifting and light speed dashing you can, but mostly drifting until you finally catch up with them. At which point, if it's Eggman, you homing attack him, and if it's a randomly picked rival character, you'll bounce off them not doing any damage 9 times out of 10 because for some stupid reason, you're only allowed to damage them if they didn't happen to go into a spin dash or jump when you attacked them. Most of the time you won't be that lucky. I did find some way to manipulate the rival AI by finding out that they jump when I jump, and if I stop moving entirely, they will, but that didn't really help me. Which sucks because I really wanted to find some way to cheat it. Eventually I got stuck on a particularly aggravating rival race, but that's when, through sheer trial and error, I found out the secret key to breaking these race bosses. Spam projectiles and you win in minutes. It turned what was once a 13-minute long bore fest into a 3-minute win. I used Bunny for the most part, but her projectiles are small and only hit what's directly in front of her. So I switched for this recording to using the best projectile shooting character in the game, Egg Robo. So many projectiles! It was so satisfying when I found out I could cheat these bosses like that, and it almost completely made up for how frustrating they used to be. Also, it's really weird that they have Shadow's eyelids when their clothes look all weird with white specks. Like he's not really finished model-wise. Why didn't they fix that? What's the point of beat boss without dying missions? I mean, you have to do that anyways. And when I first went into the fight multiple rivals at once battle in Grand Metropolis, I backed out right away, assuming it was unplayable, but it turns out all you have to do is either constantly stomp in place or spin dash and you'll be just fine. I went into these boss missions expecting the worst, but for the most part, they're just fine. Same boss or type of boss every time, and that's what I loved about Colors, was that there were so few boss strategies that once you knew them all, you had nothing to worry about for the rest of the game. I beat so many of these Eggman missions, except Dawn Avenues, which is bullshit, and the stages that I hate, that I got over 150 emblems. That beta boss fight can go fuck itself, but the other bosses were fine. When there's an Eggman icon with rainbow colors, that means you just fight enemies, but that just makes it even more glaring that they don't always do that instead of making black colored Eggman icons mean that same thing. By the way, I played as Fiona Fox some more, and it turns out she's pretty great because she actually has a homing attack, so she can actually fight. She's a speed type for some reason. I mean, I guess it would make sense. Scourge would want to infuse magic into her so she could catch up with him. Although, her homing attack is also a double jump that only activates when you're holding upwards, and even then it can be finicky. So sometimes I double jump when I don't want to. Although that's not always bad since she sometimes automatically goes to a homing attack on your enemy anyways after that. But because of that double jump, I generally just switch to Scourge over her for combat. She has a useless flower move on L where she just makes the enemy or crate flow upwards out of sight, which really threw me off, making me think I got rid of them at first, so that's bad and beat all the enemies missions. She also has Tails' spinning around, hitting everything with your Tails invincible attack on Y, so that's pretty fun. Although I hate how it's on Y because it just confuses me. Why can't it just be on the same button for both characters? It makes it harder to get used to switching between them. Sadly, they didn't bother giving her some damn voice clips, so I copied and pasted Sally's voice clips into her folder and gave her some that way. I really shouldn't have to do this. And I wish I could just read the text telling me what all the voice clips of all the characters are. Like, I would have liked to know all Scourge's victory quotes, but I didn't want to do that because, I mean, a different voice for a guy who should have the same vocal cords as Sonic? That's just not right. Now let's check out some stage mods. Will I clip through the floor and be unable to beat it like I did at the Goal Ring at Hidden Palace? Surprisingly no, for the most part. Let's start with Kingdom Valley, because I never played 06 and only played this level in the 06 remake demo where Sonic played the gaming rogues. He plays fantastically in the newest demo, by the way. They were really drunk when they programmed the grind rails. I keep stopping at them, and they're boring enough as it is because there's no rail balancing. Aside from me not clipping through the floor constantly, and it being fast and fun normally, this was pretty much exactly what I was expecting from a stage mod of this game. Lazily rushed out an afternoon by someone too lazy to program the scripted sequences correctly. Great homage to Sonic 06 there, guys! Except the non-06 stages are like this too. The biggest problem with the level though is the lack of direction. I kept wandering in circles not sure where I had to go, and I died right at the goal ring from a broken scripted sequence. It goes without saying, but when playing stage mods, at least for the first time anyways, until you confirm it, use the flying type and nothing else. Don't even try to play fair, because chances are they won't. They're fun to mess around in, that's the best that can be said about them. I really found it glaring this one section at the beginning that's like the rope bouncing area, but instead you're expected to land on a tiny spring, and you probably won't. Good job making 06 look good. Speaking of that, let's see how Amazing Arena translated to 3D. Are the fans going to make it fun and give it the proper amount of effort it deserves? Well, kind of. Sort of. I got stuck for over 4 minutes the second time I was forced to hit a switch to get rid of a barrier, since hitting the switch did nothing the first time. And it happened again. That really gave me a grudge against the level. Why would any 3D Sonic level force you to hit switches that are hidden to progress? It's like, it's a middleman. Just let me have a fast-paced level where I can just progress already. I panicked at first because it started with what I thought was a forced combat section, but it turned out to be one of the 3 instances where you're forced to crawl around the level searching for a switch you missed because the level design and camera didn't naturally point you in its direction. One time I had to backtrack for it, second time the switch did nothing, and the third time I had to deal with that switch, I hit it twice and it also did nothing. And the third time the camera didn't point towards the row of springs to get to the switch. Also, oh my god, I hate these roller enemies so much. I hate them! They were the bane of my existence in the Egg Carrier Move Rush. You keep hitting them and they don't get hurt. Other than those nitpicks, which kind of add up to big flaws, and the level design being too samey so it doesn't always make it clear whether they're heading in the right direction, I liked this level. Not enough to keep it around. Why did the music refuse to load the first time? Some of the stage mods, the music didn't load at first. That was depressing, playing levels with no music. They should have updated the levels with character mods in mind if that's the problem. But it's like the other times I've played these levels I heard the music, even though I was playing as mod characters. And as for Pyramid Cave, Pyramid Parkour, it started out much better than the original level since the camera actually turns over to account for you running on the walls, which accounts much better for the wall running level design. You're not constantly falling off the wall to land back on the floor and slowing yourself down. But the problem is the level design is way too narrow for the most part. And you keep running into cheaply placed enemies and spike balls that you couldn't avoid because of how narrow the level is. And I just cracked out at the end and gave up so I couldn't beat it. It's a shame. They were better off just using the original level design than this narrow hallway nonsense. Desire Drive is a treasure hunting level, and it's a beautiful, creepy ghost area aesthetic. Julie suits the female Knuckles, by the way, one of the worst heroes in the game, but she has a really annoying voice clip.
Mine!
I couldn't beat this level at all because, again, it has no sense of direction. I could only find one red star ring. Maybe it's because the level design was saying I didn't know which areas I'd already been to, and the level just kind of ends and forgets to keep going on. Oceanland's a fun treasure hunting level, with no time limit anyways. It repeats the same sections of the level design, so it's samey, and I don't like the acapella or whatever music. What's this supposed to be a reference to? The water is just a huge bottomless pit with you having to carefully stay on the bridges and islands, which is odd for a treasure hunting level. But it's fun, I guess. Use a flying character and you'll be just fine. I love the beating stage mod missions nabs you emblems, by the way. It's really easy emblems to unlock the characters. So many red rings are able to be seen from a distance instead of being annoyingly hidden in enemies, so that's great. That's how every level like that should be. Wait, did that red ring just glitch into the water and fucking kill me? And it happened multiple times after that. It'd be fine if they just stood still after appearing from enemies instead of bouncing all over the place. The time limit for the final Don't Die mission is absolute bullshit though. I lost so many times to it because it's really hard to keep track of where you've been because the level design's extremely repetitive. That's probably the worst thing that can ever be said about a treasure hunting level. You have to know where you've already been. You shouldn't be forced to break every single crate and collect every single ring and beat every single enemy just to make sure you'll know that you've already been in a place. Azure Lake. Cool multiplayer level from Sonic 3. It starts out with a broken scripted sequence that at least worked in the end. It's kind of hard to tell where you have to go at first. And then the underwater section I was kind of going in circles. But fortunately it's a fun level for the most part. It's fast and has a good sense of direction. Great music too, so it's good. And now for Bob-omb Battlefield in a Sonic game. It's a treasure hunting level that, unlike with Oceanland, actually has good level design for it, since it's all open like the original level was. Why are there two places where the gold ring would be? Actually, there's more than two places. I think it might be because they're placed where the stars would be in the original game. It's great! Why'd they make an N64 version of the level instead of making a new original level? All that wasted time and effort. Chrome Core, let's see this badass looking level. No checkpoints even 2 minutes in! You also grind on a grind rail that doesn't look like one since it's too thick, so that was awkward to get used to. And it seems to expect you to be able to rail switch like in Unleashed when you can't, since I'm seeing spike balls in the rails, but I can't rail switch without awkwardly jumping normally like in 06. Why am I forced to look for a switch that's hidden from me to progress? Why the forced combat? Why the overly long scriptedness? I stood still here because I put the controller down since it took so long. And look, it killed me. Did the level design just bring me back? Did the level just bring me back to where I was earlier in it? What the fuck did it do that for? It's fun aside from all these problems, but seriously, I couldn't beat it. And I beat Zelda 2. Take that as an indication of its quality. I guess I could beat its kill all the enemies mission, except no wait, I can't. because the scripted sequence just puts me in an unwinnable situation. This level never should have been released. Over 500 enemies isn't much. It really goes to show you the level design mentality. Putting a bunch of enemies in a level makes it level design. Look, I put a whole bunch of enemies in the level. That makes it level design, right? Space with enemies in it? Also, why the improper capitalization? Is it to make it surreal since it's a cyberspace level? I guess so. Downcast Coast has a flicky mission, which didn't work. I collected all the flickies, went to the goal ring, and it didn't end. So I decided to go for the enemies mission first instead. It turns out I actually can reach the goal ring, and it isn't blocked off by a dickish cage, but the flicky mission wasn't able to be completed anyways. This level was fast and fun, if overly short. At least it didn't have 10 million enemies this time. Now for Gigapolis. I love that Game Gear levels are stage mods, by the way. It's pretty cool. First time I ran into a barrier, I beat all the enemies in the area, and I ended up having to fly and skip it. You don't really have to skip it though. Turns out you just have to take the lower route. At the end of the levels, level design repeated so much that I thought I was stuck going in circles. But for the most part, the level's fast and fun. It's good. Let's see Scrambled Egg Zone. It's good. First it tells you to jump into a tunnel after hitting a switch. And if you go into an orange ring before hitting that switch, you get sent into an unescapable tunnel of death. Because somehow I was expected to know that that orange ring would send me into a tunnel I wasn't supposed to go in yet. So that was bad. The level's kind of a maze that had me running around in circles, panicking, wondering what I was supposed to do. I wondered if I was supposed to beat all the enemies to progress. Eventually I beat it though. But when you hit a checkpoint and it's in front of a tunnel that sends you back to that same checkpoint, you know it's a maze. It's a fast and fun level with a badass guitar remix theme. But that heart-pumping music just makes me more anxious and tense when I'm trying to find the goal ring already. Now for Sky Heights. Wow, this was excruciatingly boring. It's literally just hold up on the control stick and hit ramps and springs. There's no platforming, no challenge, just go forwards. Like a parody of a 3D Sonic level. It stretches way too long for how uninteresting it is. What's with the epic music? I was expecting the theme of the Egg Fleet from Sonic Heroes. Sky Labyrinth Act 1 is a treasure hunting level. It was fun, but it was also 18 seconds long. Why does it have to be so damn short? It's like Baby's first treasure hunting level. Was this made really rushed and they didn't have the time to put all of the acts here? At least the red rings are out in the open like they should be, so they're generally easy to find. Nothing worse than forcing you to beat every single enemy to find the emerald shards, although you have to beat every single enemy anyways if you want to get the goal ring working. And X Zone is a boss fight level. Does it suck? Is it the same boss we already saw? Yes. And to get to it, you have to get past two obstacles. One, a barrier that I couldn't tell was down because it's made of walls the same color as the red laser, so that got me stuck. And two, a high slope you have to drift up, while lasers are hitting it at random Westopolis style. Good luck not getting hit and sent all the way back down, multiple times. And when you finally reach the boss, the knockback from you attacking it that shouldn't exist will probably send you into the pit. So I didn't bother beating it. Most of the stage mods are fun, clumsy. I ignored one of them from the game's website, which is just a Mook Rush level, tournament something. I don't know why it was so in high demand that the link to it didn't work. So yeah, great game. Literally, it's really a great game. It's basically the Sonic Adventure 3 I always wanted. I love how broken drift is. Like, if they actually release a Sonic Adventure 3, I'm going to be scrutinizing it if they don't have the kind of fast-paced gameplay style that this game has. On the bright side, I finally got to buy golden fruit, and even got a tree planted of it because I got a seed. Now my Chao are immortal, so I can actually have a point to leveling them up, instead of them reincarnating and losing all the stats. This is why I like the Chao system. It encourages you to beat up robots so you can level them up.